pick up, hey, oh. Can I get a good love me tonight?
Come dance
I said, pick up, hey, oh. Can I get a good love me tonight? Move, let me see you move. While up in the groove. One time, mama, wegu. See you when you pick up, hey, oh. Can I get a good love me tonight? I said, pick up, hey, oh. Can I get a good love me tonight?
Sogom baby na tomuto imano de mano ga na no kwa nodo yanwa mmem jibe ka mgba kpo so
I see people from across Africa. I'm originally from Nigeria. So Nigerians in the house?
Yes.
All right. So like I said, it's a pleasure to be here because it's imperative that as a people we stand together. Like the pastor has said, it's 400 years since the onset of slavery and eventual liberation of our people. So you are no longer slaves. Neither are your children slaves. Because like I said, children are the inheritance of our future. So it's impossible that we can ignore any one of them. So like she had said, I guess I'll have to hold this. Like she had said, I'm Dr. Nelson Aluya. I'm actually trained in medicine and pediatrics. So I'm both a pediatrician and internist as well. So I've seen what it is I'm a professor at the university, and I've seen what it is to have a child grow from the beginning as they come out of the womb until when they approach the cradle at 100 years old. So it is often said that life is sweet when you're happy, but life is complete when others are happy because of you. So to continue today, we're talking about the value of hybrid education for the African child. If this can work. Is this working? Okay. Now, this is one of my famous quotes, and I said, the one who does not know his or her history is like a branch that does not know it's part of a tree. It will, but wither away. So each and every one of us standing here today, we ought to know where we come from. You know your history. You know your family's story from grandpa, great-grandma. And you need to document all of that because that's how you pass it on to other generations coming. Because if other people tell your story, they'll tell that narrative in the manner which they perceive that will look good for them and not necessarily for you. And that's why as an event gathering today, it's important that we begin to gather ourselves, learn to tell our story. Because it's important. That's how your story and heritage gets passed on. Now, what's education? I decided to take the liberty of giving a little introduction of what education is, since we're going to talk about hybrid education. But first, we need to understand what education is. The dictionary in different forms described it as an art or process of imparting and acquiring knowledge and of developing the powers of reasoning and judgment. The process of receiving or giving systematic instruction, specifically at a school or university. The field of study that deals mainly with the methods of teaching and learning in schools. The process of training and developing the knowledge, skills, mind, character, etc. for individual, for their progression and for their progress. Now, what's hybrid? What does the word hybrid mean? Biologically, it actually says, in science, it says the offering of two plants or animals of different species or varieties such as a mule, hybrid of a donkey and a horse, cross hybrid, mixed hybrid, mixture, a blend, a melting, a blended, or an amalgamation, as a matter of fact. In social science, it says a person whose background is a blend of two diverse cultures or traditions. Why is this important? Because on the average here, I see most people are, on the average of 40 and above, and a few who are younger, and most of you had children who were born here. Now, what does that mean to you? It means you coming from the background, where you come from in Africa, has a perception. You have a perception and the direction and instructions that your father impacted on you, that have been impacted on his grandparents, great-grandparents, that have been put on you But when you migrate to the United States, it's a different culture. It's a different system. Things are happening differently. Now, when you're raising your children, not longer in Africa anymore, things are changing. You're raising your children in the Western world. And how does that affect you? How does that affect your children? It's important, because if you do not understand how the system works here, or understand where the children are coming from, or where they're perceiving the pressure they get, and their tensions, and the diversity of influences that they get from different places, it will be hard for you to raise those children effectively and efficiently in this society. So, now, education is the process of facilitating learning, the great acquisition of knowledge and skills, and values, beliefs, and habits. Now, these are the methods. You can do that through storytelling. You gather your family and give them a story, where you come from, what's your heritage, what's your manner, what's your approach, what's your culture, what's the food, even the music that you have. And that's how you begin to impact these children with this thing. Discussion, clear-cut discussion. When you come to the dining table, you have a dining time, you sit with them, tell them, ask them what the story is, because you'll be shocked. There are a lot of things you're going to learn from them, because they learn things in the society that you, as a matter of fact, because of your age and exposure, may not even have learned anything from. They're going to teach you as well. So, teaching from schools, training from diverse ends, even from the coaches, even from classmates, and even people who are in the society. And from direct research. On a classical level, we also do this. Now, the setting can be formal or informal. Formal, meaning in school, in a structured form, like in the system. We all understand the educational system in this country. And I'm sure each and every one of you, when you begin to, as you migrate in this country and begin to settle down and build a home and build a family, if you want to choose to where you're going to raise your children, you begin to think of schools where you're going to raise your children. As a matter of fact, the choice of the school in a place determines often where you buy a house. And we all know that. So, and the informal one is the one where you do in your homes, or even in churches or in the mosque, or in clubs. And those are informal ways of impacting education. Now, the hybrid education, the African child. What is it and hybrid education is to the African child? The home structure. Here in the United States, or where you come from, you know, if you take it back home, we have homes where you have a mom and a father, brothers, sisters, maybe 5 or 6 or extended. Here, usually 2 or 3, that's totally different. But then, at home as well, you also have extended families, uncles, aunties, cousins, and even those who are far relatives of yours that you still call uncles and aunties. But then you all live in a nuclear society, and that's where the structure is. But here in the United States, it's a little different. It's usually a mom and a dad and a sibling, or maybe a grandma who eventually comes to live with you. But the society here is so different as compared to where you're coming from. And often enough, we understand now the diverse things that happen in the society, where it is no longer a man and a woman. Now you have a woman and a woman, and a man and a man. So you find out that these kids are growing up in this culture where it's so different from where you come from. So how do you understand to tell these children, you know what, from where I come from, this is wrong. But the system here is telling them,
pick up, can I love it tonight?
Come dance with me, baby.
Can I get a good love it tonight?